This has been a very, very good car for us. A very good car. This thing has given us 206,000 miles. That is more than an Escape from '04 should. It's in some cases maybe more than a Ford should. But we got really lucky on this vehicle. I got this vehicle in 2008, I think, and it had 60,000 miles on it. Now it has 206. I put 146,000 miles on this car over the course of now 12 years, nearly 12 years. We've been on a lot of adventures in this car, dating all the way back to college, even like the early vlogs. It's been a good car, and I'm not particularly sentimental about things, and I'm not even sentimental about this car, but I appreciate it. It's done us a lot of good, and we have done our best to run it into the ground, and I think we have. And I think even, there's been a lot of you that for many years have like encouraged us, please get something. Well, I've got good news. We did. It's this. This is our new vehicle that we're going to be driving around for, I mean, at least 10 years, and I'm gonna hope for 15. I hope we have this thing for a long time. This is a very sharp automobile. This is a 2020 Subaru Forester Sport. It is a very pretty car. It has a lot of features in it that obviously a 2004 did not. Over the years, we've rented cars and we've had a chance to experience, I guess, some of the things that cars have. And it's always been interesting because, like, we're driving something that, how many safety features does it have? Yeah, it has airbags. This car should be safer, more fuel efficient. It certainly has more tech in it, and it's also just a very pretty automobile. And yeah, it's ours now. I talked about it the other day, but we decided ultimately to lease the car because there's benefits for the business to lease the car. But I mean, I told them in there, like, we plan on owning the car ultimately, even after the lease is up. So I'm excited. Now I have to drive it. Also, we were here a lot longer than I thought we would be.
Oh my gosh. Do you know how long we've been here?
No, what time did we get here?
We got here at 4.
4?
Yeah.
What is it now, like 8?
8:15.
Wow. I'm also very, like, not to toot my own horn, I feel like we did really good on the price. I'll talk about that later. For now, we need to get some groceries. So I can just keep my keys on
your belt loop,
and the car just like functions. So I'm gonna close this and I go boop, and the car starts. Technology is nuts, man. It's gonna take me a while to like completely get used to all this stuff. I mean, I've been operating off of a 2004, but I'm excited. And the other thing I was telling Mal about is, like, 10 years, sure, but like we may actually get even more out of this car, because for a lot of the years that we owned the Escape, Mal was commuting to and from work, and now that we're both at home,
we're gonna put a lot less miles on this.
Exactly. And I'm really excited about that. I have a feeling we're gonna own this car for a long, long time. And I really like it.
I really like it.
I really like it. We did not have to go out of our way to get the version with the orange, but we really liked the orange, and we decided that if we were going to have a car, for as long as we were going to have a car, that we would just go ahead and get the car that we wanted. And after doing a lot of research, we decided that this was the car we wanted. Neat. But seriously, we do have to get groceries. Did I introduce the vlog? I can't remember if I said what day it was, but if I haven't, hello everyone and welcome to Wednesday. We grabbed some groceries, and also had to grab some dinner, because we were at the dealership for so long, but we're home now. And man, what a day. When I woke up this morning, I didn't know that I would be getting a car today. It was not like a last minute thing, but it's been something that Mal and I have been talking about, like, we need to move forward with all this, but there's so many other things going on, and one of those things is deal with the car stuff. So it's not like we went to the dealership today like, we're going to buy the car today. We were like, maybe. And when we got there, we had been interested in a gray car because we've been doing a lot of research and stuff at home, having test driven a Forester like almost 2 weeks ago. And we've been doing a lot of research and stuff at home. We decided that we liked the look of the Sport, and that our favorite color of all of the colors, or at least the one that we agreed on, was gray. They have a gray one. So when we went and looked at them, one of the things that the person we were talking to at the dealership had pointed out is that all of the accents on the car are black. So when you have a darker color car, you don't really get to see those. And I was like, I'd never really considered that, but that's true. Because the other color that I liked was black. And when it's black, it's like real black. And because the accents on the car are orange for all of the Sport models, it kind of looked like a Halloween car a little bit, which for someone would probably be really great. But after I realized that, the other color that Mal had been gunning for was white, because she's like, that's not going to show, the dirt and stuff as much. And, it'll also, to some extent, reflect the light a little bit better and be cooler than if we had a black car or a darker car. And I was like, okay, yeah, I could see that. And then finally, of course, they didn't have any gray cars there. They didn't have any of the gray Sports. They had like every other color but gray. And I was like, well, let's just see what they got and talk and get some numbers and stuff. So we did. And, I'll take you out into the garage so you can see it again. We wound up getting the car. And I'm excited. I'm mostly excited from the fact that I don't have to worry about the car like breaking down. And I guess, there's always a chance, but that's been like the big fear for the past while with driving the Ford Escape, is that who knows, at any point the ar may just refuse to start. And that's not ideal. But now this is it. And I don't know if I'm going to do like a full like car tour, but this is it. And honestly, Mal really changed my mind on the white. The person that was working with us had mentioned that, and then, with the contrast, and then that between that and Mal talking about keeping the car cleaner, I was like, okay, yeah, this is actually pretty. I like this. So this is it. It's pretty stylish, I think, for a Forester. I know a Forester is not necessarily, or just even Subarus in general, are not necessarily like the cutting edge of style, which means nothing to me anyway. But in that realm, I think that it's a pretty stylish looking car, which is kind of neat. The Ford Escape is kind of the same way. Like, it was a sportier looking car, but also that style of car is gone now. Like back in 2004, there was a certain look to cars, or to I guess SUVs, and that doesn't really exist anymore. So understanding that, this is a nice trade-off. But the car's got all sorts of wild stuff in it. And actually, one of the things that's interesting is like driving it home from off the lot, I was made acutely aware of how much like technology is in the car and how much I do not like trust. And I will have to slowly allow myself to trust it, because at the moment I'm like, what? This thing shows me a camera of what's behind the car when I reverse? I don't trust that. I'm just look. So Mal and I agreed that, for instance, on the rear camera when you're backing up, that I will continue to do it the old way, and Mallory will watch the screen to check that. So we've got like two eyes on it. And I said, okay, I can do that. Another thing, and this seems simple because cars have actually had this for a long time, but my Ford Escape didn't have it, is that the lights are auto. So you can leave the lights on auto, so when it's dark, they automatically come on, and in the day, they know to shut off. And that's nuts. And that's really hard for me. And I drove home and I had it on auto and I was like, okay, just leave it on auto. And then we went and grabbed a bite to eat and we did curbside pickup. And I didn't want to have my lights on because I didn't want to have them like shining into the restaurant. So, I had to manually turn the lights off. But then when we left the restaurant, I didn't have my lights on. And I actually had started to pull out of the restaurant and then I was like, it's dark. And then my brain was like, it's because your lights aren't on. Because normally you'd be like, no, lights on and off. And instead I was trying to rely on the auto. So it's weird, and there's a lot of stuff like that. And it's got a bunch of safety stuff, which I'm going to have to grow accustomed to. It's got the thing where it will like try to hold you in between the lines on the road, which I mean is neat. I didn't notice that too much while I was driving at home. One of the things that I think is actually a really good idea, like from a safety perspective, is it has these little lights. I'm trying to, is it here? Maybe it's like here. I don't know. Something around here, or maybe it's the inside. The inside? I don't know. Whenever there's someone in your blind spot, it actually illuminates. And that's neat. So while you're driving, if someone's up behind you, it just illuminates just to let you know they're there. And I believe if it works the same way that some of the rentals I've driven over the years do, if you have your turn signal on and the car thinks that you're going to go to that lane, there's like an audible beep in the car. So yeah, it's a beautiful car. I enjoyed driving it home. I'm looking forward to making a lot of new and exciting memories with it. And again, we're going to have this car for a really long time. So over the course of the next while, you guys will get a chance to become very intimately familiar with this car. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about the negotiation stuff because, for one, I feel like I did well. I feel like we actually got a pretty good deal. And then number two, I feel like I personally did well. Like I feel like I handled the whole situation really well. I don't have any experience doing this sort of thing. This is the first time I've ever had to deal with all of like the negotiation stuff for a car. But I stayed remarkably calm throughout the entire thing.
Very.
Mal, and this isn't a slight against you, but
I know.
Mal has a tendency to get anxious.
Yeah, and I was.
She was very fidgety, and I could tell that you were uncomfortable to be in that office.
Oh, very.
But
I didn't want to be there at all.
But I don't know. I've always done really well under that sort of situation. Like it just, I worry sometimes about how relaxed I am over things. But like I feel like the house could be on fire, and I'd be like trying to very calmly evacuate. But I stayed calm, and we talked through things. There's a few key things I did, and I think ultimately it helped out a lot. And you also see why I was so pleased with how everything went. So the short version is we ended up saving about $3,000 off of the sticker price. And I felt like that was pretty good. Compared to the sticker price getting that much off, I was like, yeah, yes, please, let's do that. And how I did that was first, whenever we went in, we wanted to see the Costco pricing sheet. And that's just because we're Costco members and they have an auto program that's actually a pretty good deal. If you're not already a Costco member, depending on the deal you're looking for a car, it may actually be in your interest to consider it, because that took $2,000 off, like right off the bat. There's pre-negotiated prices for cars depending on the year, the make, and the model. And whenever we went in and we asked for the pricing sheet, they didn't give us the pricing sheet originally. They made us an entire offer that was based around the pricing sheet. And, I wanted to see what the pricing sheet was. But it's not going to be, obviously, $2,000 every single time for every single thing that you're looking for. But the fact that much came off the sticker price with no haggling or negotiations or anything is pretty good. Because I understand that there's a lot of people that hate that. And I mean, for what it's worth,
I hate that.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I hate it too. Like, I hate the fact that in this day and age, you can't just buy a car. Like, cars do not have just a price, and you just pay the price. That there's an entire, like, game around it. I don't like that, but I did it. So after we did the Costco price, we've been doing research on this. And one of the key things we've used for research is Kelley Blue Book and Edmunds. And if you use those websites, you can actually choose the year, make, and model of the car that you're looking for and all of the accessories, and it'll give you a range of what it thinks is a fair deal. And then right in the center of that range is what it would call a fair market price. And I've been kind of basing everything off of that. When we've been looking at cars and pricing cars and stuff, I'm using that to get what I think is a general idea of what the price of the car should cost. And, it can go lower and you get a better deal, but that wasn't what I was going for. I was going for like square in the center, fair market price. That's what I want. So when the Costco price came back, it was good, but it wasn't the price that I had been looking at. And, the person we were dealing with, I told him that. I was like, it's cool that the Costco price brought it down so much. I said, this is not the price I'm looking for. And of course, he was confused, like, what price are you looking for? And I told him, I was like, this is the price that, I'm looking for. Now, here's the thing, though. We were looking at the car that they had on their lot, was on the showroom floor.
Yeah.
And it had more things than we would have done if we would have custom done car. Mm-hmm. And I brought that up. I was like, I understand that this is going to be a little bit higher than the price I have in mind, just for the fact that it has some extra stuff on it. And we figured up what the extras were. And I think it was there's probably about maybe like $500 of extras that we probably would not have normally had in there. So I said, based on that, making that about $500, a little higher than what I was going to do, the price should be this. And, of course, he's like, that's pretty low. He's like, but I can take it to the finance department. And I was like, okay. So he did. And then he never came back. And instead we talked to the financer. The sales manager the whole time. And, when he came back, he was like talking to us about that and how that was, a price that was too low, wanted to know where we had got that number, etc. So, I told him, and I said, I'm not out to cheat anybody. I understand you guys have to make money. And I'm not looking for like the cheapest deal in the world. I just think this number is fair. And that's the number that I should be basing my stuff off of. So I was, based on the initial conversation, I was surprised. Mm-hmm. Because, it sounded like, this is an impossibility. But they went lower than the Costco price. And what they needed to do is I needed it $1,000 lower. And they came down almost $1,000. It was really close.
Real close.
It was within like $200 or something. And that was within $200 of what I wanted to pay. And up to this point, I had not mentioned my trade-in. I had not mentioned the Escape at all. And I was thinking, I was like, you're so close. Like, you're within $200, and they really did not want to, go any lower. But up to this point, I had not brought up the trade-in. So I said, well, because he would do something, he would change something, and then he would say, do we have a deal? And I'd be like, no. He'd be like, change something. Do we have a deal? I said, no. And then, he wanted to know if we had a deal, and I said, we're so close, but I do have a trade-in, so maybe we can make this work. And he goes, you have a trade-in? Oh, that's wonderful. Now, it's important to note that the value of this car, the value of the of the 2004 Ford Escape, from what we had found out, was nothing. It was $350.
If I had everything right, I didn't know what trim model it was.
So yeah, we were looking at not a whole lot.
And that was because you can do like how good of a car it is, like, oh, it's perfect or it's in bad shape or whatever.
Yeah.
That was like one of the lower.
Sure. So the takeaway here is that we were thinking we were probably not going to get a whole lot for the Escape. I thought at best, if I sold it privately, I might be able to get like $1,000 for it. That was what I was thinking. But obviously, with the headache of doing that, that's not really ideal. And then you don't want someone coming back angry, being like, oh, it leaks oil or it does this or whatever. Even if you try to explain the problems it has, it could develop a new problem and you have someone mad at you. So I really just wanted to get rid of it. So he said, okay, I'll go take a look at it. He's gone for 10 minutes. When he comes back, he has a new offer all drawn up. And he showed me where he got this information. He said, so we're looking right now, it looks like the trade-in value on this car is probably about $800. We would, for you, I think we would just go ahead and round it up to $1,000. And I just, in my brain, I was like, what? And I looked over at Mao, and she looked at me, and I'm thinking, we can't say anything. But this is like so much more than we were expecting to get out of this car. And of course, we were only like 200 over on what I wanted the price to be. And now we have an extra $1,000 trade-in. And I'm thinking, you got yourself a deal. This is, yeah, we did it. We got there. And it was a very taxing afternoon because we got there at 4.
Yeah.
They closed at 7.
Yeah. And
we left after 8. So like we were there for a long time. But overall, the experience was pleasant. I mean, I don't know if you would describe it as pleasant, but like it was...
Everyone was nice. The negotiation part just made me very anxious. And I had a hard time sitting in the office while they go talk to the boss and back and forth. I don't like that.
And I do want to stress that, like, even throughout all the negotiation stuff, these people are always very kind and very nice. And there's a certain mental image that pops up when you think of car salesmen. And it can be a little unsavory, and that's not really how I would describe these people or how they treated us. I think they were very kind.
They were very transparent with their numbers. Like if we didn't understand something, they broke it down. They said, this is where we're getting this and this and this.
Yeah.
So.
And I wanted to know all of that stuff too, because as we went through every single thing, I read every single document because I wanted to know every single thing. And if, I'm doing all of this stuff and I'm like, okay, well, let's add these numbers up. And I would get out my calculator in front of them and I would do it all in front of them to make sure I understood exactly how the numbers worked and where they were coming from. And if there was something missing, where that was being added on. I'm going to have this car for a long time. And I'm excited about that. But I also want to make sure that, I'm not getting ripped off. And overall, I feel like the experience was pleasant.
Yeah.
And now we have a car.
As good as it could be.
Yeah, okay. Pleasant would be we walk in and they just see us and they're like, you could just have it for free. I mean, that would be perfect. No, I mean, that didn't happen. But overall, it was good. And now we have a car. And I'm happy about that. I'm happy we don't have to worry about the car just stopped, like, no longer working. Suddenly, you need an alternator. You need, because there was some stuff wrong with that car, and it made me a little concerned. It's been leaking oil for a long time. In the last few weeks, going over bumps, it was making some awful noises. And
some squeaks.
There's some other like squeaks and bad stuff. So one of the reasons we went with Subaru was for reliability, because it has such a higher reliability than the last car. And I'm looking forward to, getting a lot of use out of it. But yeah, I don't know if that information will help anyone. The Costco price, was still very good. I think if we would have went with the Costco price, we still would have overpaid a little. But I just tried to stick to my guns the best I could. I had picked out that Kelly Blue Book price, and I wasn't going in there trying to cheat anybody. I was like, this seems fair for both parties. Let's do this. And we got close enough, and especially with that trade-in, I was like, yeah, it seems like the thing to do. Probably also helps to some degree when it's like 7 p.m. Everyone wants to go home, and they're like...
We were there at 4. They could have gotten us out much earlier.
Well, that's on them. But yeah, it was great, and now we have a vehicle, and I tell you, it's a very weird feeling getting into a vehicle that has a single-digit odometer.
Yeah.
It's like, how many miles are on this car? 9. 9,000? No, 9. So it's a weird feeling. But as we get to 100,000 miles or whatever, we'll know that we were the ones that put that 100,000 miles on the car.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing when we get to 200,000. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be a challenge for me. If I can get a Ford Escape, a 2004 Ford Escape to 200,000 miles, you better believe that I'm going to get more than 200,000 out of this Subaru. I'm just telling you now. All right. That's it for today. I needed a shower before we left to go to the dealership, so I definitely need one before bed. Tomorrow, everyone's coming over for lunch bunch. We're going to play board games all day. I'm actually super excited about that. Should be just a nice experience to see everybody play games, and everyone will get to see the car, which I'm sure they'll be excited about too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?